Hey, what's up everyone? So today, this upload is a lot different from what I normally upload, which you can obviously tell from the title and thumbnail. I'm just going to share a little project I've been working on. I'm a big nerd. I love video games, especially Nintendo stuff, and I thought it'd be fun to customize my Nintendo 64. I also got a wireless controller that I'm going to customize to match it, so stick around and watch, and I'll walk you through how to do it in case you want to do it too. So as you can tell, first you just take off all these plastic covers that usually come off, take out the RAM expansion pack, and then you gotta get this special screwdriver to unscrew it. Nintendo always requires special screwdrivers. I got this one from Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. So yeah, just start taking out all the screws on the bottom. And I'm just placing them all in a little Tupperware on the side. And then once the bottom and top are separated, you can take off these screws on this little cover thing right here. Just two of those, and then these little flaps just pop right out, just like that. And then next, I'm gonna take out these buttons. So they're pretty easy to take out. They just have like these little clamps you just push in and you can press them right out. The more we can get this apart, the easier it will be to paint. So you want to take off literally everything you can. So now we got lots of screws on the bottom to take out the motherboard or the main unit of this thing. So just bear with me as I take out all of these screws. There's like 20 of them. And then once you got all those ones off, you can pop this thing right out and set it aside. Then we'll finish taking out more screws. You're literally gonna be taking out every screw you see. You don't leave a single one in. Some of them require a smaller screwdriver because they're tiny. Alright, once you got all the screws off, you can just pop this thing right out. Pretty simple. That doesn't come off, so it doesn't come apart any further than that. You can leave that all together, and then these little metal things just fall right out. And then also this little plastic light thing on the front also pops out, so you can set that aside. And then that's as far as we can get it apart. So next, we're just going to be cleaning all the pieces. You definitely want to clean it before you paint it to make sure it all sticks. So I'm just going to clean it all with soapy water, scrub it with a toothbrush. You want to get it as clean as you can. And definitely don't put that in the water. So again, I'm just gonna scrub it with a toothbrush, and after we finish scrubbing them all, then I'll rinse them off. Rinse all the soapy water off. And don't worry about like ruining the stickers from cleaning it, they'll just be just fine. Clean the inside too, mine's really dusty on the inside. Scrub that Nintendo logo nice and good so you can get it looking fresh. Now that it's all clean, I washed it off, and now, so this part, I am using a hair dryer to get that little logo on the front off. It takes a while. And then that sticker, I just peeled it off because it wasn't worth covering. It's not like in an indent like the rest of the stickers are, so I didn't worry about covering it. But I covered the rest because I want to keep those ones on there. Just covered it with some masking tape, getting it ready to paint. I also, as you can tell, put some tape inside the button right there, the reset button. And now I'm taking 600 grit sandpaper and just lightly sanding it. I'm going to sand all of the pieces that I plan on painting before I paint them. And after I paint, I cleaned it off with alcohol, and then we're using some primer. So this is just standard primer, and you just go back and forth like light coats. You don't want to be too heavy, and make sure you keep the can like pretty far away from it. I think it's supposed to be like 15 inches or something. So I go through all the parts and do that. And I completely forgot to record me putting on the actual painting coat. And so you're gonna see next I'm skipping straight to putting on the clear coat. I forgot to record. So anyways, I did a couple coats of primer and then a couple coats of the paint, and I actually wet sanded a little bit because it was a little unsmooth in some areas. And I did that with 1500 grit sandpaper. And then after it was smooth and looking good, I put on the clear coat, and I put like maybe 3 or 4 coats of the clear coat. And again, you do that with all the pieces. Make sure you get all the areas of it, turn it around, get all the sides. And you want to let it dry in between coats. Depends on, like, I just followed the directions on the can. And I will leave a link for the paint I used in the description. So while the paint is drying, I decided to clean out the inside, give it a little refurbish, clean off all the dust and gunk. I just used the 70% isopropyl alcohol you can get from the store. On these internal components, you don't want to use like water or anything like that, or any like household cleaner, because you could really ruin it. So again, just use alcohol. And then I also decided to take a Q-tip and clean the RAM expansion pack, the little circuit board in there where it connects. Just make sure it's clean. Clean that where the card slot goes. There was lots of junk there. Alright, and now this is the finished painted product, not put together yet, but it's looking a lot better than I thought it would turn out, especially for my first time doing something like this. I was pretty impressed with how it turned out. So now we're going to put it back together. I'm not going to go through the whole process of me putting it back together, but I'll show you a little bit. Because like here I forgot a couple things. Like I put this in, and then I realized that I forgot to put another part in. So I'll just show you real quick how to start it off before you start putting the screws in. And that just slides in just like that. And see, with this, I realized I have to put that underneath the board, so I had to lift it up to get that in. And the bottom of this motherboard came off, but you just slide that right on. It's all pretty simple. Like honestly, it's not very hard to take apart or put together. But again, I've started putting it together, and I realized that I forgot to put these little metal things in. So you want to put those in first, then put the light thing, the little light plastic piece in, then slide that on, and then you can start putting the screws in. I just kind of did it in reverse order from how I took them out. And so from here, you can just slip the buttons right in. They just pop right in just like that. The reset button was a little sticky at first, but after pressing it in a couple times, it worked just fine. Then you pop that on top, and then we're gonna put the bottom screws in. Now that all the screws are in, we can take off the tape. I know this is some people's favorite part, is just peeling off fresh things like that and revealing the beauty underneath. Look at that sticker. But then this peel was when I got a little frustrated, because as you can tell, it took off some of the sticker with it. It's like, what the heck is the point of that? Alright, and then we put these covers back on. Put the logo back on, make it look beautiful. That was like the most satisfying part. It just made the whole thing look so official. And we slipped the RAM, the expansion card back in. Put the cover on, and it is finished. And wow, is it a beauty. Again, I was so impressed with how this turned out. I didn't expect it to turn out so well. And it might not look it, but like there were some dust specks in it, but you can't tell, so who cares. Alright, so next I'm going to show you how to take apart and paint this controller. We're going to pretty much do the same process as with the Nintendo 64, but with this one I didn't worry about sanding it because it didn't seem like it needed to be sanded. But I'm also going to paint the thing you plug into the 64, the receiver, that's what it's called. So I paint the receiver as well so it's matching the controller and the console. But just like with the 64, start taking out all the screws. Then once they're all out, you can pop it right open, pretty easy. And inside, first thing you want to do before messing with something like this is definitely unplug the battery, just to be safe. And then you unscrew some more screws inside. There's just two holding that little black thing in, and then you can take off the whole panel. And next you want to pop out the L and R buttons. They're connected by wires, but you can pop out where the buttons actually go. Again, you just take those out just like that. This one was a little tricky to get out, but I eventually got it. Just be careful so you don't rip any wires or anything. Then there's a couple more screws you take out. That reveals the D-pad and also the little LED light in there. There's a little plastic piece that you can pop out. And that's just right there, and just put that with all your other stuff. I didn't paint any. I decided not to paint any buttons with this one. Just left them how they were. Put everything in a bag so you don't lose any pieces. And then next I'm gonna take this thing apart as much as I can just so I can give it a good paint job and not have to worry about ruining any of the components inside. And I realized that I couldn't take it apart too far. I couldn't really take the electronics out of it. So I just ended up deciding to tape it. I just tape this inside part right here and then tape that in there so that it's covered so it doesn't get on anything. I also want to tape the sticker just because keeping it looking official. So there we go, got tape on there, got tape. I figured out how to pop that thing out. You just pull it comes right out. And also tape that since the inside doesn't need to be painted, and I'm worried if I painted it that it would have not fit properly. But anyways, same process with this. You start with the primer, do light coats. Make sure to get every surface area that you can find. It'll help keep the paint sticking. And I realized with this one after putting this video together that I again forgot to record me actually doing the paint part. I got the primer and then the clear coat. But again, I forgot to paint it, but it's the same process. So I did the paint and then the primer. I did do a little wet sanding, not too much, and now it's looking beautiful. Like it again turned out just as well as the 64 did. So now we just take off the tape and we put it all together. Sorry about my voice. I've been a little sick, so I might sound kind of weird. Another frustrating part. Watch this. Take off the tape. Whole sticker comes off. I was so annoyed. But I ended up figuring it out. I just peeled the tape off and was able to place the sticker right back on, surprisingly. It's not completely stuck on there, so I might have to like tape it or something, but it turned out pretty well. At least it's still there. Now we're gonna put this thing back together. Oh, also I realized that I covered up the little LED lens. So I'm gonna take my dental kit that I got from Amazon to scrape off this little LED light. These things are handy. I definitely recommend you get one. They're good for fixing little projects like this and also for fixing your teeth. Alright, so it turned out well. I scraped off enough so that we could see the light. Stick this thing back in, put it all together. Pops back together pretty easy, and then you just put the screws right in. And I don't know if I said it, but I will leave just a link for this controller on Amazon, because this controller is awesome. I got it used for like 30 bucks, and it's a lot more modernized than the old 64 controller, and it's wireless, so it's definitely a good deal. Here's me finishing up, putting it together, and then we can see the finished product in all of its beauty. Such a nice controller. Again, I recommend this to all 64 players. Now let's show you a shot of the controller with the console in all of its glory. Like, wow, that is amazing. It turned out way better than I thought. I also want to show you guys a shot next to my OLED Switch in my PlayStation 5, which is what gave me the idea to paint it white, because I want it to match. But the PlayStation is a lot warmer or a lot cooler of a white, as you can tell. The Nintendo matches the Switch a lot closer.